Hi, so I got a lot of questions yesterday from parents about how to incorporate or teach our children about these kinds of concepts when we're talking about pagan parents, witchy parents, spiritual parents. And so here's going to be some of my suggestions. First of all, mixing science and the spiritual. So exploring the science aspects of things and then exploring the spiritual aspects of things with your children. This can be really, really fun. It also can be very educational for both sides. One of the first places I started with my kids and what I really enjoyed was energy. So exploring energy from a scientific aspect, from quantum physics, and then also looking at its spiritual applications and how it applies. Dr. Emoto on YouTube has got some wonderful experiments with water, and there's a rice experiment that you can do with your children, and it's all about power of voice and how words can change things. When you talk about elements, I really like this set of books. They're from Llewellyn, and they go into the history of each element. They have stories for each element. They talk about different deity from all over the world in each element. So I really, really enjoy these. My kids have had a really fun time with them. So these would be another I would recommend. Another big thing I would recommend, get out in nature, because it really starts with nature and that connection. And children are more apt to want to do that anyway. So start exploring the trees, the plants, the animals that are in your area. So do scientific research on them and learn about them from a scientific view, and then look at their spiritual aspects and their spirits and what energy is connected to them and how it is used. Ways to do that is we have all these plants. And so I live in America. And so I really love this book, Indian Herbology of North America. It is excellent. I don't know if you can get it anymore, but if you can, it's great. It's packed full of information. Love this book. This other one I just recently got, so I do know that it's in print, Native American Herbalist Bible. Another really, really good one. They have recipes in there. They talk about each plant and what they can be used for, how they heal the body. And you can look at those aspects and see the spirit of the plant in that. So there's all kinds of ways to mix that in. Animals, observing animals that are in the area, even if it's small ones, birds, squirrels, and it doesn't have to be our big animals. There's all kinds that are around us, and learning their behaviors and understanding them, and then seeing what their spiritual aspects are. We do not need to separate science from the magical. They work together in my experience. In my perspective, they really do work together. It doesn't mean that we can explain everything with science. We absolutely cannot. That's the magic. Next, learn the stories of your area. What lore is there? What mythology is there? What, cryptids, things like that. All these things can give you clues. Again, I live in North America, and I live in the Appalachian Hill area, and in between Appalachia and the Ozarks, and that's where my people are from. So I really love this book, Secrets and Mysteries, the Cherokee Little People. It's talking about the Fae of North America. And Fae is, I realize, a word. But it's talking about them, the unseen spirit, and the spirit that's around us. And they have wonderful stories in here. Really, really recommend this book. But tell these stories with your kids. Find these stories with your kids. Use them as bedtime stories and stuff if you have really little kids. There's all kinds of ways to incorporate it. And then we're also passing down those kinds of knowledge, and we're passing down those stories so they don't die out. I personally found this book kind of so-so for me. My son really likes it. He is really into nature, and nature really calls him, especially the element of earth and the animals. And so there's some great stories in here, and there's ideas and some exercises and stuff that if this is your path, if you are, more on the naturey side, if you're wanting to connect there, or if you're heading more into druidry, this would be a book that I would recommend with context. So understanding that it is a person's perspective and stuff, and you don't need to follow everything that's in it. We have the internet. There are tons of resources out there. There are tons of things that we can be looking at and sharing. If you homeschool your kids, you can really go full force into this and, make it part of your curriculum as you go, helping them to explore and see different sides of science. So they see that there is a hardcore science, but there also is a spirituality that connects to that. Simple things. Go on walks with your children in nature, whether it be a trail or a park or whatever you can get to, deep in the woods, whatever. And as you're walking, be observant. Really hone in their observation skills. Get them thinking about what they're seeing. Have them journaling. So there are really great journals out there that have prompts and stuff, and there are some that are just, journals, and you can write whatever you want. But having them write certain things about what they saw or how they felt, or some of the journal prompts go into more in depth of having them help understand themselves. These are all great ways. I mean, they're practicing their writing skills, they're practicing their critical thinking, and their reflective skills. It's wonderful. I also know that I got some comments of people talking about that there are hardcore heathens, just as there are hardcore Christians out there that force their beliefs onto their children. There are always going to be exceptions to any generalized statement. But in my experience, the people that I've talked to, the people I've run into, the people that I have connected with, we all take this as an exploration. We show all these things to our children. They see the things that we practice. They know what we practice. We talk about the elements of that. At least I do with my kids. When they see me doing a spell or putting something together, they'll ask me, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? And so I'll tell them what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And, that gives them a different perspective of the world and how things can be used and done. I talk about different ingredients and stuff with them. My children don't participate in my stuff because it's very personal for me, and, it's my spell work and that kind of thing. But we do other things, sit around the fire outdoors, and, they'll be roasting marshmallows and making s'mores and stuff, and we'll be telling stories. Stories about the land, stories about our ancestors, stories about our history. Because we can incorporate all of these things into our children and allow them and encourage them to explore for themselves, to dig deeper, to, figure out what works for them. And it's going to be a while. They're going to go through phases where something's going to catch their attention and they're going to explore that. And then something else is going to catch their attention and explore that. My experience with children and raising children for 30 years is the fact that as they grow older, they'll start to figure it out. They'll figure out, what's for them and all that. As a child, it should be all about exploration. Learning and experiencing as much as the humanly possible, whatever they can. This is a time for them to explore. And we can facilitate that exploration, and we can show them that there is so much more out there. And there are so many ways that we are connected to this earth that we live upon, and how we're interconnected and part of the earth, part of the ecosystem, not just living in it. These are my perspectives. This is my thing, so these are my hints for you.